All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Daniel Mazar, and I will be your host for today's session on engineering innovation for rotating machinery. In today's presentation, we'll be describing trends impacting the world of rotating machines, as well as solutions that can help companies stay ahead and succeed in relation to these trends. So we're excited to present this to you and ensure that you're able to get the most out of the session. As we go through it and you have questions, please do type them out. Now, this webinar is part of the engineering innovation series that we are doing on rotating machines. Today, we'll be focusing on overview and design, followed by a next session on May 7th that tackles more simulation. Specifically, we'll be going into system simulation as well as computational fluid dynamics. And the third session we have is going to talk more about digital manufacturing, or CAM. This way, we want to ensure that you get exposure to multiple different areas in relation to rotating machines and where they are with today's technology. This webinar is hosted by Maya HDT, a leading provider of digital engineering solutions and the #1 global partner for Siemens Digital Industries software. We started off in aerospace about 30 years ago, but we've actually been working with rotating machines and pumps for over 30 years in various applications and now multiple different industries. If we're looking at things involving rotating machines or pumps, we've had experience with design and simulation, data management, and anything related to displacement pumps, centrifugal, rotary gears, anything of that nature we've covered. But we do a little bit beyond just simulation and design as well. So in terms of our wheelhouse of expertise, there's a lot that we cover, and we wanted to ensure we exposed you to that in case you had further follow-up questions in areas you wanted us to go over. Of particular interest today is around applied artificial intelligence. A lot of companies have been asking us about what's happening in that space, in that area. There's tremendous interest. We're seeing applications such as being able to capture data related to a pump out in the field or as part of quality management in design and product development, and being able to turn that data into information through specific algorithms and expertise. That's one of many areas that we have expertise in, but we wanted to pass over and provide you with a little subset or a broader view in case you'd like to have further conversations with us. Now, today's presentation is going to be covered by one of my colleagues. But before I get into that, I just wanted to ensure that you're aware that this will be an interactive webinar. What that means is we will be having short polling questions throughout the presentation. And so we're looking forward to your input and to your questions and comments. Please also note that this webinar is recorded. So we will ensure that it's made available to you once the presentation is done, as well as send you follow-ups and information on the additional webinars. So don't hesitate to reach out if that's of interest. Now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague and our main presenter for today, Jacques Luxier. Jacques is the Technical Pre-Sales Director at Maya with a tremendous background in solid mechanics, which has been a huge area of focus with his PhD. And Jacques has had experience working with clients spanning many different industries and applications, and he'll be a great person to lead us through the rest of this presentation. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jacques.
Thank you, Daniel. So I guess to begin this webinar, I'd like to answer one of the typical questions we're having is, as to what exactly do we mean by rotating machinery? So as you know, these products are ubiquitous. You find them in multiple industries, such as the automotive and transportation business, the aerospace and defense, electronics and semiconductors, energy and utilities, marine, medical devices. You can think of applications such as fluid handling, which involves compressors, pumps, blowers, heat exchangers, and valves, but also in other businesses like machines for continuous processing, like pulp and paper, printing, metals rolling mill, mold and textile, in discrete material handling as well, such as conveyors, packaging machines, automation machines and robots, but also in machine tools, such as lathes, mills, CNC, and 3D printing machines. So what we're seeing right now in the world of rotating machinery are key trends, which pushes component suppliers to make product innovation a priority. And to address that, simulation technologies are developed to solve difficult problems that these trends bring to light. For example, manufacturers are facing more competition from pump suppliers coming to the market from low-cost countries. And to compete with these low-cost players, companies are innovating to differentiate their products from the commodities and creating unique customer value. However, to achieve innovation in a fast-moving market for complex products is a challenge that you need to overcome. On a similar topic, equipment that you supply ultimately gets integrated into larger systems, mechanical, electrical, provided by your customers. So knowing exactly how that piece of equipment is going to perform under those custom dynamic conditions is not always clear. And what we're seeing right now is an increasing demand from customers for an upfront assessment of that system behavior. And providing that assessment can be the difference between winning or losing a deal. And last but not the least, the notion of cascading requirements. So this is the idea of having targets, either from regulations that regulate your business or regulations that regulate your customer's business, that are increasing in numbers, in complexity, but also forever shifting. So how can you balance and adapt to those efficiency and safety restrictions, let alone innovate under these conditions? How can you minimize tooling to avoid wasting valuable materials by ensuring that the design is done right the first time around? So each one of these factors have major impacts on our customers' market agility, and which is the ability to bring better products faster to market, but also at lower development costs. And those are just some of the challenges that customers like MSI were facing when they've attempted for weeks to manually change their base pump design and hydro turbine design using trials and errors in order to get a better performance than their immediate competition. Or Parker Hannifin, who spent months trying to respond to a customer complaint about what appeared to be a malfunctioning valve in a complex system of integrated systems. The component could function according to its specification, but was defective when interacting with other system parts. Or we can take the case of Valomeier, who is a high-tech factory today producing quality tooling and allowing their customers to reduce cycle time by increasing productivity. But this hasn't always been the case. Early on, they used to compete versus all of their machine shops, like everybody else, and that's why they've decided to find ways to keep manufacturing costs low and increase throughput very quickly. So these are some of the challenges our customers are seeing. I think before we continue, we're curious to see which one resonates with you in your business. So what are the top challenges you have in your product and development cycle process?
Thank you, Jacques. So you're seeing this on your screen right now. Please select all of the options or any of the options that apply. We'll have another 30 seconds before we close this poll. Great. Give it another 10 seconds. Excellent. The poll is now closed. So as you can see, you should be able to see the results that are being shared right now. It seems that the majority of attendees have filled out that at some level or another, multiple design iterations is where we'll see a lot of the top challenges. And in many cases, that ends up relating back to collaboration, especially right now where a lot of companies and colleagues are working remotely. But this does mimic quite a bit in terms of what we're seeing with some of the other companies within the industry. So it's good to know that you're in a similar trajectory as what some of the other companies are seeing, with multiple design iterations being the top result. With that, Jacques, I'll pass it back to you.
All right. Okay, well, very interesting results. Thanks a lot for sharing. So I guess I can imagine the question that everybody has on their mind right now is, how can we, or how can you address those challenges? How did MSI, Parker Hannifin, and Heidelmeier succeed? What did they have in common? So of course, the solution is not binary, nor is it some kind of theory of everything. But what we're seeing, or where we're seeing success, is when our customers integrate some or all phases of their product development process inside what we call a digital environment, which typically consists in two distinct phases. The first is what we like to call the ideation phase, which helps you digitally create and improve your design and analyze it. This is what we call CAD and CAE, and this is what MSI and Parker Hannifin leveraged to solve their problems, which included design iteration. And then there's...
Apologies, Jacques, we're still seeing the poll results. Would you mind just switching back to your screen?
Oh, okay. Let's see here.
Yep, we see your screen now. Thank you.
All right, apologies for that. So the next step is the realization phase, so which involves digitizing the manufacturing process of your product and anything used to produce it. This is what we call CAM, or computer-aided manufacturing. And this is what Heidelmeier geared up on to become leaders in their respective field. So when companies integrate these digital processes into their product development, they're capable of delivering greater insight, reducing development cycle times, improving efficiency, and also increasing market agility. And by partnering with us, Maya, we can help you not only just with the ideation phase or just the realization phase, which is usually where most consultants sit, but we can help you through the entire digital process, including PLM. So in what follows, I'll be explaining how you can integrate those processes via a single unified platform that we call SimCenter NX. So let's focus in on the ideation phase and the part it plays on the product development process. So for a digital tool to be successful here, it has to increase confidence in the design. So confidence in the design and results will ensure that engineering decisions are correct. And if engineering decisions are correct, we can reduce the need for over-design, reduce end cycle physical testing, and reduce the number of field failures, which overall will reduce also design iterations. The tool also has to allow for continuity. So when thinking in terms of integration and product complexity, engineering processes cannot be isolated and disconnected from the rest of your organization. We need to connect designers, engineers, both mechanical, electrical, and field engineers, and also decision makers. So if companies enable enterprise collaboration, they're able to close the loop faster between requirements, design, and verification over the complete engineering cycle. Finally, the holy grail of engineering is usually being able to do quick and cost-efficient evaluations of design changes in an automated fashion. So are you able today to intelligently explore with limited effort all design variants and quickly understand drivers and trade-offs, and thereafter pick the right solution for the right application, right? If you're not in measure to do this today, what if you could? So this is typically known as the V-cycle process and includes two fundamental components. One is what we call conceptual and detailed design, and two, verification and validation, right? So let's see how you can accomplish this using our tool set. So the first part, during the conceptual and detailed design steps, NX is the tool of choice. It is a platform that regroups 6 core areas essential to multidisciplinary design. So NX is one of the market's most productive, but also open design and modeling environments. It has advanced but accessible modeling techniques such as generative design to reduce mass. It enables additive manufacturing capabilities for either fast prototyping or for production. It also permits combining electrical and electronic design with mechanical design. And finally, it also allows validation of your design and manufacturing processes in an integrated environment with a single data set without the need to jump from platform to platform. And the key here is really being able to leverage all of these capabilities essential to product design within one single environment, but also in a scalable fashion. So there's plenty to say for each topic. And please comment in the chat window if you'd like to hear more about some of them. We'll also be covering more of those functionalities in the next CAD/CAM webinar series. But for the sake of time, let's see an example of, say, generative engineering and how it can be applied. So we've worked with HP to optimize this duct system attached to a 3D printer pump. Topology optimization was used to optimize the fluid flow to allow a more efficient use of the upstream pump system. So through a series of operations, including smoothing, offsetting, and other CAD operations, we were able to design a thin wall part around the optimal airflow volume. This yielded a 22% improvement in airflow for the entire system with real-world validation. So from a practical standpoint, what that means is it actually led to a faster printing speed of 15%. So a key differentiator here with respect to the competition. On top of this, from an HP standpoint, the part development process took 75% less or 75% of the usual development design time. So for example, if the process took originally 4 weeks, they were down to 1 week to generate that part. So a high value here. And this was made possible within a single environment using the NX technology, which allows working with all kinds of data like 3D scans, B-rep surface, third-party and supplier geometry simultaneously without having to go through multiple file format translation. And NX is the only platform that can do that. The second critical step in ideation is verification and validation. So the need to investigate performance has led to the creation of an extension for CAE, or 3D simulation, and system 1D simulation. Although it is baptized SimCenter, it is the same unique environment as NX, and the names are sometimes used interchangeably. And for rotating machinery, what we're seeing in the market right now is that the usage of simulation typically falls under these 4 categories. There's NVH, which stands for noise, vibration, harshness. So there was a customer who was looking to replace a 15 megawatt pump for chemical plant, but it only accepted if there was guaranteed that certain vibration requirements were met. So to win the contract, an analysis had to be performed to look at the waterfall signature, perform model correlation, etc. And for rotating components, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? As you can see here in the description. Then there's reliability. So, the classical question, how long will the design last? How often should you do maintenance? How long should your warranty be? Or how reliable is your design? And then there's the performance of the design itself. So how confident are you that your design meets requirements? How much more efficient are you compared to your competition? And now that your product meets specification, how confident are you if you were to integrate your design in a system, right? So for which multi-attribute system level integration will your design be valid for? Or can you size or adapt your product accordingly? So these are all challenges that we are seeing across our customers, challenges that they could address using the SimCenter NX solution. Again, would be curious to see what you guys are seeing on your end. So from concept to delivery, what distinctive engineering expertise are you using today or see a potential use for?
Great, thank you, Jacques. You should have this poll in front of you now. So again, there's multiple options: electrical mechanical design, structural SE simulation, thermal CFD simulation, system simulation, and physical testing. We'll have another 45 seconds in relation to this poll, so please fill it out. Thank you. Great. We have another 10 seconds poll before it's being closed for any final fill outs. That poll is now closed. Let's take a look at what we saw. Okay. So majority of people filling out, where we're seeing interaction integrations between electrical and mechanical design, which is something that would be quite typical in relation to rotating machines. What's the physical testing side being a little lower than what we'll see with majority of clients in the industry. So that's good to note as well, just in terms of this audience. Yeah, system simulation as well. Some companies are starting to take a look at that expertise and adding it. So that's typically someone who's a little bit more forward thinking in the industry, which is also a good sign. So I think all in all, we're seeing a good range and distribution of the different engineering expertise being used. So it's good to note that we have that going on with the audience today. Pass it off to you, Jacques, in case there's anything else you'd like to add.
All right, thank you, Dan. All right, as a quick test, can you see my screen?
Yes, so I can.
Excellent. All right, we'll continue. So I think, as Dan mentioned, I do see that some of you have chosen expertise related to performance. Well, this just so happens is also the challenge MSI was looking into. So mechanical solutions, or MSI, is the example I referred to at the beginning of the presentation, this presentation. So they've attempted for weeks to manually change the base pump and hydroturbine design using trials and errors in order to get better performance than their immediate competition. They've decided to use SimCenter to automate the design exploration process and obtain 33 better designs than the one they've gotten with weeks of manual iterations in just a few days. And those are days where the same engineer can now actually work on something else, because these few days of are purely computation time. So from the 33 better designs, one was chosen to best fit some functional requirements like availability, ease of manufacturing, while another design of that 33 were chosen for other functional requirements, right? So SimCenter allows you to obtain better designs by spending less time on model setup and data transfer and more time on engineering decision making, which is what MSI was looking for. So I've also noticed that some of you had chosen expertise related to integration. That's also something Parker Hannifin wanted to address. So as discussed earlier, Parker Hannifin were trying to respond to a customer complaint regarding malfunctioning valve in a complex system of integrated systems. So their group initially performed various tests for months to identify the problem with no success. So to reduce liability, they finally decided to acquire SimCenter for their system simulation capabilities. So first, they modeled their standalone valve with 98% correlation with real-life data. And then the full customer circuit was modeled in which the valve was part of. So as a result, a detailed analysis of the system was achieved, which highlighted some systemic circuit issues. Turns out, the valve was not the actual problem. It was the system dynamics that was the culprit. So the team then modified another valve within that system and the malfunction was gone. N was confirmed with experimental results. So what would have taken another few months, if not more, to resolve, with liability looming over their head, turned out to be only a matter of a few days with the system simulation solution. So let's talk about the realization part of the digital twin. So once your design is complete through the ideation phase, either via CAD or CAE analysis, the logical next steps for some is manufacturing. And again, we at Maya have a solution to help you. So the main objective from a manufacturing standpoint, regardless of the industry, is to increase throughput. So that's one of the key competitive pressures. And you can increase throughput by shortening machine cycles, faster setup, and reducing machine time. But what we're also seeing is a need to meet higher quality standards. So consistently achieving high quality requires precise machining, better finish, and using best practices to achieve repeatability, which is also another element of quality. And finally, as you compete, you want to look at new technologies that will open up new business opportunities. And the Heidelmeier example mentioned earlier is a good one of that with their shift towards a complete digital machine shop. So achieving these objectives is a challenge for many manufacturers, but those can be tackled using the same uniform platform described so far, which is NX. Right? So imagine a manufacturing operation in which people, systems, and equipment are all connected, an operation that enables everybody to work with the same data through the entire process, ensuring that the right information is used at each stage of the production, and a production that is also fully automated. So you can achieve all of this with NX, and once you do, you get what you call a digital machine shop. So this enables manufacturing information to consistently flow through the process, connecting all the steps of the operations. You can capture company knowledge and reuse said knowledge to improve efficiency. You can automate the process to achieve a seamless part manufacturing from engineering all the way to the shop floor. So let's see what the story looks like. So assume you're done with the ideation of the product, both from a design and verification and validation standpoint using NX SimCenter. You are now left with a 3D solid model of the product that you want to manufacture. So let's see from that part how the entire manufacturing process can be driven by NX. So you want to work in the same software system where you design the 3D part model and define the entire setup, including the fixture, so that we have one consistent environment. So by using the same model definition, you can take the data into the CAM module for anti-programming to create and validate G-code to drive the machine tool. Then you can create associative and complete shop documentation. For example, if there is a design change or if you need to change a fixture, this update can be automatically replicated in the documentation all the way to the shop floor. And this is key to avoid rework and repetitive tasks. And the key word here is really associative. This is the same word or the same idea that is being reused from the ideation phase. In parallel, your quality team can work on defining the inspection process. So what we're seeing is that companies are increasingly using PMI, or product manufacturing information, attached to the model. So the PMI data can include the tolerance and surface finish information. Traditionally, this info would have been on drawings, and you need to manually enter this data into your CAD or CMM system. So with NX, the PMI can be added to the model definition during designing the part, and then use this data to automate your programming. In this case, you can automatically create inspection programs for the PMI data, and then produce inspection programs that are sent to the CMM, or the coordinate measuring machine, on the shop floor. And really, the idea here is that the entire manufacturing process can be handled using one model in a single platform, all the way from part preparation, all the way through programming and production. But equally, if not more important, is the associativity of the workflow. So one change towards the pipeline, one change propagate towards the pipeline, avoiding rework. And this entire connected workflow applies equally to high volume production, which applies to some of you, or just a few parts, which applies to others as well. Right. So we referred to Idlemeyer earlier. There are high-tech factories today producing quality tooling and allowing the customers to reduce cycle time by increasing productivity. They connected their entire operation, eliminated data transfers, improved collaboration, and automated the processes for closed-loop manufacturing. Just to give you an idea, they process roughly 120 pallets that can achieve autonomous time of 4 days. So the program would start the process automatically, which also includes measurements to be stored back in the system to ensure that the first and last piece have exact same dimensions. So the company used NX and benefited in the form of improved productivity, reduced manufacturing costs, which helped them stay ahead of the competition. So to conclude, the idea of digitalization using SimCenter NX is to enable your company come up with innovative solutions, better products, faster to market, but also at lower development costs and therefore increasing your market agility. So a typical quantitative assessment of this ability is usually referred to as digital maturity. So today, what we're seeing is that most companies operate in this, what we call troubleshooting region, to reduce time and cost. In this situation, it's only possible to be reactive to unforeseen market shifts and trends mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. However, with the proper digital tools, with SimCenter NX, and by partnering with us, you can quickly increase your digital maturity and enable your company to be proactive and actually influence rather than react to some of those market shifts and trends. And we've shared just a few examples of many customers with whom we work with. So if you were to ask me what 3 and only 3 things should I remember from this presentation? Well, one, we are seeing that market trends are pushing our customers towards a usage of simulation tools. That includes CAD for design, CAE for simulation, and also CAM for manufacturing. 2, being equipped with proper digital tools is the difference between reacting to shifts and changes and driving those changes. And 3, that when it comes to digitalization, we are aware that there's no one size that fits all kind of solution. So increasing digital maturity is a journey, and we can help you through this endeavor. To you, Dan.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jacques. I think that's an excellent summary of the topics that were covered today and where people should be. So with that, we're ready to wrap up this webinar. There's just 2 final things. If you have any questions, please add them to the question pen so we can aim to answer them here. If we run out of time, we'll do it at a later date. But also, if you recall in the beginning, this is part of a series of webinars that we're doing on this topic. And so we have 2 additional sessions coming up, one that does a deeper dive onto the simulation side of things, while another one focuses more on digital manufacturing. So if you wouldn't mind just selecting the one that you'd like a little bit more information on, we'll be sure to send you an invite and reminders as well there. So we're gonna leave this open for just another 45 seconds for people to be able to fill out. So please go ahead and include that. And while that's going on, feel free to answer any or ask any questions as well that you may have. Great, I'm seeing some questions coming in. So while we wrap up the poll, another 20 seconds, start looking at the questions. Firstly, will this material be made available? Yes, absolutely. We will be sharing the recording of this presentation, as well as emailing additional information on the upcoming webinar series. So that's going to be sent to the attendees for you to share with additional colleagues, or in case you have follow-ups or would like to review. There's that. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and close this poll. Great. So we'll be following up with the people that filled that out. Jacques, if you could just move to the last slide. Here's an interesting question. So what's a good starting point for my company to begin exploring simulation? I'll take a crack at this and then pass it off to you, Jacques, if you have anything else you'd like to add. Excellent question. I'd say a great starting point is with a conversation or discussion. As Jacques mentioned in one of his key takeaways, there's no one-size-fits-all approach for different companies. And so really what we want to do is make sure we're understanding your business and engineering priorities. What are the current tools you have in-house, so we know how to best maximize and leverage them, as well as what skill sets. And then from there, we'll make recommendations. Those recommendations could take various form, whether software presentations or evaluation of certain tools, but the starting point really would be that conversation. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us on it. Great. We had another good question. What is could you share more specifics about the NX SimCenter solution exactly? And a detailed case study will be helpful. That's a great point. I think, we've given a very broad overview in terms of just what's included as part of that product and solution. But we'll send a detailed case study so you could understand a little bit better as to what was included with that specific product and what's available there. Great. Another question we have here is what's differentiating you from other competitive software? Again, great question. And as we know, there's a lot of variety and options out there in terms of software that fit different needs and requirements. So in essence, it varies case by case. But in terms of what we hear from our customers and clients, the things that make a big difference to them really goes back into ease of use, and that enables a quick adoption. On top of that, I'd say integration capabilities. The fact that the platform and the tools are built in a way with the pillar of openness in mind, so you're able to integrate. And what that leads to is scalability. And then the last thing we hear quite a bit is just the domain expertise that we bring in along with our support. Great. Next, how do I get more information on upcoming webinars? Again, we'll be emailing that out, so please look forward to that. What are potential ways to cooperate with Maya? That's a great question. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a lot that we do and bring to the table in terms of our expertise, and this is just a subset of it. So the best way would be I recommend sending an email separately, and we can have that conversation, and I'll reach out to the person who asked that question in terms of what they had in mind. But we've had multiple partnerships, again, with our expertise and the companies that we work with to be able to work through. So I will reach out there. Excellent. I think with that, that's all the questions. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for your time and your patience. We will be sending out details in relation to the upcoming webinar as well as this recording. If there's anything else, you can see the info@myhgt email there. Please do send an email out to that, and it'll be rerouted correctly to Jacques and myself. Wishing you all a safe and great day. And we look forward to seeing you in upcoming presentations as we continue these conversations. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Thank you.